I'm not one to usually toot my own horn, but I've nailed it. I think I've done a really good job, so you're gonna have to stay tuned and watch them all, okay? Promise me you'll watch all 3 because 1, I'm so glad you're here, and 2, you need to see them, all right? You actually do, because I think they are 10 out of 10. So we're gonna cover 3 different DIYs using eggs. That's right, the polystyrene little eggs I'm sure you have in your craft cupboard. If you're anything like me and you're a crafty girly, you'll pick these up in the Easter sale and then be like, I'm gonna use them for something, and never get around to using them and end up with like 3 different bags. So we're finally going to use them up, okay? If you don't have any, you can of course buy them or use alternative things. I don't know, maybe Amazon has them, or maybe you could pick them up in a charity shop. I always find crafty bits in the charity shop usually have some polystyrene bases of something, because nobody really likes throwing that away, do they? But then again, we never have the ideas to actually use them other than paint them at Easter time. Long story short, I've made 3 DIYs today. They're all great, and we'll start off with the easiest one.
So for this DIY, you're obviously going to need some of those polystyrene eggs, but we'll focus on one to begin with. You'll need a scrap piece of fabric, enough to go around your egg, and what we're basically going to do is just cover up the thin pointy end of this using hot glue. You can use other types of glue if you want. I used hot glue. It melted it a little bit, but not anything too crazy. So long story short, I wrapped the egg in fabric, hot gluing down as I went. I started with one side, the other side, and then I went kind of at across to that. So I had 4 points glued down, and then I just glued down the rest. Once I was happy with that, I cut off any excess from the top, and then I glued down a piece of twine and just kept wrapping. I wrapped this really tightly, adding more and more glue as I went, as to not burn my fingers, just taking my time going around the top to kind of make an acorn cap, because that's what we're making here. We're making little fabric acorns out of Easter eggs. I know, it's genius. We could thank Pinterest for this idea. So I wrapped it round until it was covered. I left a little hole at the top and just popped on a bit of twine to make the stalk, and that was pretty much it.
This is how they turned out. Look at them. Obviously I used Liberty fabric on mine, so they're quite like busy looking, but you can use plain fabrics, different textures. I think the Liberty fabric worked really well because it is quite thin fabric, just a cotton, and yeah, it draped over the eggs so well. This was definitely a Pinterest inspired DIY. I'm not gonna lie, these have been on my board to make for a while. I've made actual 3D ones and everything like that before, just from fabric, so I'll leave that tutorial down in the description because I shared that a few years ago and people really liked that. But this is definitely an easy no so way to do it. But just look at these gorgeous fabrics as well. Hold on, let me focus my camera. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? Like, imagine a full bowl filled with all different designs. But anyway, I love them. On to DIY number 2.
So this DIY here came into my imagination because I remembered a DIY I made last year, maybe the year before, maybe even the year before then. I've been making these for years now. But anyway, I had some linen fabric offcuts and I was like, I know just what to do with these. So I got my egg and I covered it in a square of linen fabric. Really easy, I know. Now of course, if you want to attach your fabric to the eggs, you can use glue. Hot glue here probably would have worked really well, but I could not be bothered to get my hot glue gun out of my craft cupboard at this point. So I went ahead and I stitched the fabric to the polystyrene egg, and to be honest, this worked surprisingly well. It did not budge and it draped over so nicely. So there's a thought, you can stitch onto polystyrene eggs. Who knew? I didn't, but I tried it and it worked out really well. So once I had my fabric stabilized over the egg and draped really nicely and I was happy with that, I then needed to cover up those stitches, and if you have glue marks here, you want to cover those up. I just tied on some various bits of twine and embroidery thread, as so. Just tied that on, made that look nice and rusticy. Then I decided to add a piece of vintage lace over that as well, put that into the mix. This is what I've done on previous ones and I've loved the lace look, so definitely recommend having a little bit of lace in there. I cut all these down to size and then I decided, oh, I need a nice little bell on that to make it nice and rustic. So again, instead of gluing, I stitched this on. I know, who do I think I am? I did only have silver ones in the size that I wanted. I found a rusty bell that I kind of liked the look of a little bit better in my collection, so I actually went in with some Sharpies and alcohol markers and stuff to just tint that a little bit. I also went in with this gold marker and that gave it a bit of colour back, and I actually really liked the look of this. So if you have some bells in your collection already and don't like the colour of them, just tint them, you know, it'll be fine. So yeah, I stitched that bell on and then I took a great big bamboo skewer and stabbed it right in the bottom, of the egg, and that made my ghost on a stick. To add the face on, I just took some black acrylic paint. I used a dotting tool to make 2 eyes. Very, very simple. It does help to kind of turn your ghost upside down after doing one to get even eyes. That's a little tip there. And then to add blush, I actually just used some of my actual blush that I use on my face with a little makeup brush for the blush on the ghost, and that worked out really great too.
Now, if you've been a long-term viewer on this channel, you will also see that I've made something similar to these before, but these are just a more elevated version, I think. The way they've come out is so nice, and yeah, I think I made them with like baubles or something before, but the eggs on the sticks were really just a, air freshener, an easy way to kind of get that like shape there, and they took no time at all. Really limited skills that you need for these, but they are so effective. And like I said, these look way better than the ones I've done in the past. So when I take out my autumn decor, you will see the fact that I'll replace the ones that I already have with these 2 beauties because they're so cute. Listen to that little bell on there as well. Oh yeah, I've got a mic. Love them, love them. I just love a little ghosty. My B&M ghosties are up there as well from that haul the other day. Oh, just love them. I haven't managed to put them away yet. I should, but I haven't. This is how they turned out. Absolutely love them. But let's get on to DIY number 3.
So this DIY is probably my favourite out of the 3. In fact, it is my favourite today. I'm not even ashamed to say it. To do this, obviously you're going to need those polystyrene eggs. This is 3 DIYs you're going to be using up your polystyrene eggs video, so it makes sense you're going to need an egg. You want to cut it in half. This is a little bit tricky, and much more trickier than I thought. Probably if you had the correct tools like a craft knife, this would be easier, but you want to cut it in half and just smooth out the edge as much as you can. You then want to take a cocktail stick, snap it in half and stick that into the bottom ends of your 2 cut eggs, and then take some foam clay. This is quite important, foam clay. You want it to be nice and lightweight, and I thought I have some of this on hand, so this is going to work out great. You can buy this in 1-packs in Hobbycraft or just like on Amazon or anything like that, and you just want to roll it into a little sausage shape, cut it in half, and then stretch out one end to make the bottom of your toadstool. That's right, we're making little toadstools here. So just pop that over the cocktail stick we previously put in, shape it, make sure it looks good, and then leave it to dry for around about 48 hours. You're then going to want to come in and just start gluing on some tissue paper over this, basically paper mache over that toadstool shape, because obviously you've got the bottom part of your toadstool now, you've got the top part. You just want to blend it all into one, make sure that the textures are nice and smooth, or just smoother than the original polystyrene shapes and stuff. Anyway, you want to take a moment just to make sure that where the clay and the polystyrene egg meet, that you're putting quite a bit on there to just stabilize that in, make sure it's all secure, and then you want to leave them to dry for around about another 24 hours. I basically just used white glue and some water and tissue paper for mine, and I put another little cocktail stick in the bottom of it so I could get along the stalk as well. I stabbed these down into a piece of foam so they could stand up and dry, and then after 24 hours I just went back in with some acrylic paints and painted the whole things. I just did them in various shades of reds and oranges, and then painted on some little dots and of a little bit of details. Basically I kept them nice and simple, but that's pretty much what I did.
That's right. Look at them, look at them. So I'd made them all in like kind of slightly different tones. We started off with the kind of reddy shade, and then I just added some yellow in as I went, and then some white. I did different like shaped dots on them all as well, so I just did big ones on that one, big and little ones, lots of little ones at the top, and then medium-sized ones on that one. And I just think that works well. I don't actually know much about mushrooms or mushroom patterns. I definitely could have googled that, but I just went with what the heart wanted. They're still stabbed in this piece of foam, and I still have the cocktail sticks in because I think that these would be really fun in a wreath, and I think with the cocktail sticks still attached they could work out really well, or even like doing a garland, you could stick them all in. Obviously they're all different that way, but I don't know about you, I think I nailed these, and I think these are a 10. Are you joking? I just adore them. So yeah, I think also you can remove the cocktail sticks at the bottom, maybe plug in that little hole with a bit of paint or something, and pop a little eye pin in the top, making them into dangly decorations. That would be good, wouldn't it? But I think I'm going to use these in maybe putting together a wreath or a garland or something, so I think the picks will actually work better for me. So I'm going to leave them like that until I decide what to do with them. They could even look cute in little plant pots as well, couldn't they? Genius. genius, I tell you. Like I said, I don't toot my horn very often, but I think these three, they're great, and I can't get over these little ghosts. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed today's crafting video. I think now I'm going to go and design a new autumn primitive piece that I'm actually going to keep. Maybe it's going to be a big one, and then maybe I'll make another one for a pattern or something. I don't know how it's going to go, but I'll film it if you like, because then you can see my process and how I make things. But I particularly want quite a big piece because I have an elf, a Christmas elf, that's been out all year round, and like, it's August now. I love him out, but I just don't have anything to put there, and it's quite a big space where that is, so I think I'm gonna have to make something big. But yeah, anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to stick around for more autumn crafts and autumn videos and Christmas ones coming and everything like that, like, I've had to stop myself looking on Pinterest. I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole of Christmas. I'm really trying to reel it in because, like you said, it is only August. Then subscribe, I would love to have you. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in my next one.